Scorpio, 27 degrees. All right, 27 degrees, Sabian symbol. Understand, and I'm getting this from a book that I ordered. I don't normally do books, you know. I come from the heart. You know, it's been decades, you know what I mean, of studying astrology. It's been many seasons of difficulties, struggles, you know what I mean, trials and all of that, where I learned to use astrology to find my sanity. I learned to use astrology to gain perspective. And once I learned to trust my own heart, once I learned to channel through spirit, you know, I no longer consulted books or, you know, things of that nature. You know, I realized that the book is in heaven, you know what I mean? And we can have access to that book in heaven. And it will always flow through us, you know, just like, you know, the gospel, you know what I mean? Just like the Holy Quran, just like any book that was revealed, you know, you have access to. In Islamic tradition, it's called Al-Mahfuz, which is the main book of heaven, you know what I mean? From whence all books came. And we all, every one of us, we have access to that same book. It don't matter what religion, it don't matter what language, it don't matter what race or culture or background. That don't matter. It don't matter, you know, if it's Native American culture or African spiritual tradition. Guess what? Truth is fucking truth. Word to mother. Understand that. Truth is truth. And it's a singularity. It is one. And as it comes into the earth realm, there's division. There is separation. That's the Pisces factor. It's that Pisces is from whence all things come, and it's where all things go. Understand that. And Pisces is about that duality between the many colors and frequencies of the spectrum of light, the spectrum of color, and the spectrum of vibration and frequencies, and the singularity of white light. Understand that. So you have access to that book. But it takes for us to clean up our character. It takes for us to heal ourselves and, you know, heal our life. It takes for us to make peace with all of those in our life. It takes for us to treat others the way we want to be treated and dealt with. You know what I mean? To operate out of the intent of love, compassion, and empathy. It takes for us to commit to that, for us to have that access. Because every person has access to love. Every person has access to truth. Every person has access to empowerment. Every person. You know? And so I'm one of countless individuals who was able to connect and channel. And I got a little fraction of a mustard seed of what's in that book that naturally flows through me. And so do you. You got the same thing. You know what I mean? You got the same thing. So anyway, 27 degrees Scorpio, where the exact degree is actually 26 in some minutes, okay, where Black Moon Lilith and the Sun will make a conjunction in Scorpio. You know, already put the video out for that. Y'all go check that out, you know what I'm saying, and catch that message, digest, you know, talk about it and all of that. But we read the frequency of Sabian symbol 1 degree up, okay? We go 1 degree up when we consider that. So if the conjunction takes place 26 in some minutes, okay, of Scorpio, you're going to consider 27 minutes as that's where the energy is gaining its manifestation and fulfillment and expression. All right? So, 27 degrees Scorpio. A military band on the march. Hold on, let me back up and do justice. Now, I'm reading this from Dr. Mark Edmund Jones, you heard? The Sabian Symbols in Astrology. You know what I mean? Go ahead and order that. Hold up. Y'all niggas go ahead and order that shit. You know what I'm saying? Get that on your bookshelf. You heard? Get that on your bookshelf. I mean, I'm definitely digging it. You know, I'm learning a lot of things out of it. It's a nice, hefty book. You know what I'm saying? Nice and hefty. You know, you could take this book. You know what I'm saying? You could clock somebody over the head with this. You know what I'm saying? You see stars. You know, you know what I mean? It's a hefty book. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Scorpio 27 degrees. What's it all about, you huh? A military band on the march. A military band on the march. This is a symbol of the human spirit's continual desire to avoid everyday trials and dampness, ever pressing on towards some goal which can become a basis for a more enduring and individual reality. The blare of self-affirmation is a rejection of the lesser experience, which brings only a self-satiety, and its martial nature arises from the realization that things of worth must be gained at the price of a thoroughly self-mobilized effort. Understand? The key word is intrepidity. When positive, the degree is a dramatic capacity for drawing events to a focus and directing their course successfully to what might have seemed impossible ends, and when negative, foolhardy self-exploitation. All right? Understand. The blare of self-affirmation is a rejection of the lesser experience. Okay? The blare of self-affirmation is a rejection of the lesser experience. Listen to me. This is enshrined. Let me remind you, let me encourage you that this is enshrined, this meaning, this value of Black Moon Lilith. Okay? Where you're taking up military arms within the spirit of the self. Okay? Against everything that's telling you that you are not authorized to be who the fuck you are. That's telling you that your reality does not agree or permit you to bring your truth into existence. Okay? You're taking up military arms against that thought, against that idea. You rising up, you gathering the troops or the forces within the self, the shadows within the self. You're calling them to formation, the shadows of the self. You're calling all of the aspects and expressions of the self that have been suppressed, that have been denied, downtrodden, laughed at, rejected, told no, decline. You heard? You're telling them all to stand up and take arms against everything that's coming against you. And it's not coming against people. It's coming against internal enemies. Internalized enemies. And those internalized enemies are thoughts and beliefs that you accepted that goes against what it means to expand your territory and reality in Sagittarius, which is where the reward and booty of your military conquest has its celebration. That's where you have your claim in that, Sagittarius. And as you know, Mercury is dipping back into Scorpio. Okay? To bring intel from that reconnaissance mission that it took in Sagittarius. Mercury went on reconnaissance mission in Sagittarius in order to bring back information that informs a greater strategy in this military conquest within itself. Understand? This is helping you to know what formation to take, what approach to take to overcome and resist what is attempting to overcome and resist you in fulfilling your reality. Mercury's at the 0 degree when this conjunction takes place. It's at 0 degree Sagittarius. All right? That 0 degree, it's a stillness. It's a quiet. It's a pause. And that presents a neutrality of the voices, the feedback, the energy that you're receiving back that has influence to your 9th house of beliefs, your philosophies, what you have accepted as being true or not, what you have put passion behind. You've come back to neutrality with that, realizing there's some discrepancies or even possibly contradictions with what you held to be true. Wasn't the simple fact that you selected others' opinions, thoughts, and claims instead of finding the courage and resilience to select your own fruit of research, fruit of discovery, fruit of diligence, fruit of resilience, to look truth in the face and say, I must align because I'm not aligned with truth. I see what the truth is and I'm not aligned with it. I got to make some changes. It's the quiet storm, the quiet before the storm. You feel it. The mind has an eerie silence just before it goes back into Scorpio. Scorpio's an underworld. Scorpio's very dark. It's cold. It doesn't have respect for your feelings. What are you loyal to? Does your loyalty find consistency with truth? Understand? If we could get to the truth and align with it, we have all the advantage. Why? Because our foundation is correct. Our stance is firm. Our footing is right. If you don't have the right footing, you're going to get your ass knocked the fuck out. Simple as that. You got to have the right footing. What are you standing upon? It better be the motherfucking truth. Understand that. What's consistent with this expression, as I quote again, the blare of self-affirmation is a rejection of the lesser experience which brings only a self-satiety, and its martial nature arises from the realization that things of worth must be gained at the price of a thoroughly self-mobilized effort. Get off your motherfucking ass. Get off your motherfucking ass, nigga. In Scorpio, it's time to fight. It's time to go to war. The war that you ran from. The war that you conveniently sidestepped real quick. The war that you avoided. The war you ain't want to deal with. Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be back. And niggas ain't seen you since. You heard? You dipped off you dipped off somewhere and left your shadows hanging. You're the commander-in-chief of your shadows. You're the leader of your shadows. You're the brave and fearless warrior ahead of your shadow saying, follow me. I got you. Here's a plan. Here's what we gonna do. We got to get the Sagittarius. Mercury is in there performing reconnaissance mission, gathering all the details, data, facts, and information, getting to the truth, and what it's going to take to expand the truth of the self and what our life is supposed to fucking mean. We got a glimpse of that. But you have to come back to the battlefield from whence you stand. You have to come back to the camp where your soldiers are at. And who are your soldiers? It is your shadows that you must incorporate, that you must justify, that you must defend and advocate for, that you're the spokesperson for. You're the representative, you're the chief and commander. And you got the marching orders. But without truth, there's no mission. Understand? And so, as I was saying, there's a trine with this. And that trine is with Jupiter. One of the trines is with Jupiter. Now, what is it about Jupiter that stands in agreement with this? Okay? When Jupiter was in direct motion, Jupiter was providing outer stimulation and feedback that was affirming and confirming where you were destined to be a healer, where you were destined to be a part of the matriarchal order in your life, in your reality, in the world, in society, in your family, in your community, in your relationship. Jupiter was giving you that feedback that confirmed that, yes, this is where I want you to stand as the matriarchal principle. This is where I need you to defend the constitution of the matriarchal mother, Yemeya. This is where I need you to shine the soft light of the moon out into that house, dominion, where you have cancer. And the feedback was coming. The environment was responding. And it was clarifying to you, yes, this is a fit for you. This is natural for you. This is really who you are. And you felt like the matriarchal mother from that place. Understand? Okay? Matriarchal mother don't make a difference if you're a man or a woman. If that's what you're thinking, you need to get off that. Because all of us are both simultaneously at the same time, all right? There's no gender in the God identity, okay? Gender is biochemical, all right? The God in you, the goddess in you, doesn't have a fucking gender, all right? You have both masculine and feminine archetype of the self. And if you're a man and you're not in touch with your divine feminine, God help you, you better figure that shit out. You better figure it out quick. You heard? Because you're going to need it. We are nothing without access to our divine feminine as men. We're short of wisdom. We're short of purpose. We're short of insight. We're short of the power to heal. We're also short of guidance. And we're short of divine oracle as service in our life. Without that connection to the divine feminine of the self. Understand that. So, when Jupiter goes retrograde, Jupiter manifests internally. Keep in mind that Jupiter is the lord of Sagittarius and Pisces. Okay? So, Jupiter represents where our competence is at. Our higher understanding, our creativity, our optimism, the influence that we have as leaders, and where we are always trusted with what we know and what we do. Understand? Jupiter is the trustworthy father. Know that. You know what I mean? You think of a big, strong, loving father, like you know what I mean? Little Mermaid, Ariel's father. You know what I'm saying? He's big, he's strong, but he's very loving. That's Jupiter. And that's where you represent that principle. Okay? I call it Obatala, the god of light, chief of the white cloth. Understand? The owner of the heads. Understand that? Obatala, father of Orishas. Right? And so, with Jupiter going internal, Jupiter is bringing that principle of self-affirmation that positions us to reject of the lesser experience, which brings only a self-satiety, and its martial nature arises from the realization that things of worth must be gained at the price of a thoroughly self-mobilized effort. Understand? Okay? That's Jupiter who's supporting that principle of Scorpio. Jupiter. Okay? So internally, Jupiter's helping us to home in on that self-affirmation, which requires optimism, creativity, self-belief, understanding, compassion, a yes can do attitude. Okay? A yes can do attitude. It is also the light of our higher self. It is the crown chakra. Okay? The light of our crown chakra. It's also the power of our understanding through Pisces. It is access to the gates of Pisces, from whence we bring from non-existence into existence that which should be according to what we have conceptualized in Pisces. Okay? This brings into the other portion of the trine, which is Neptune, assisting what we are conceptualizing, maintaining the alignment with universal love, compassion, understanding, acceptance, purity, and the courage to dissolve forms that we may have been attached to in order to realize the essence that forms came to express. While keeping that essence, it is innovative for us to give that same essence new forms according to the new circumstances and conditions of the self, which reflects not only the needs of me, but of the needs of humanity. It is one. If I need water, you need water. Understand? That's Aquarius, the water bearer. Who can be an enemy to water? Who can go without water? Who doesn't need water? Bearing the water of Aquarius, which essentially is Pisces, where you think the water pours to. Huh? Where you think the fucking water pours to, nigga? It pours to fucking Pisces. It comes from the gourd of Aquarius. Pours out the Pisces. That water is eternal essence that maintains eternal value because it is heavenly. That eternal essence is source of our creativity, the substance of our creativity. So if we are to create Aries, it comes from the source of creativity, which is substantive value, Pisces. And we are conceptualizing substantive value that requires new forms. Understand? In context of Aquarius, this is our portion of the water gourd that we must pour. From what? From wisdom. Therefore, everything that you have passed through and experienced over lifetimes of the past, it was not a waste of time. It was not a failure. You did not lose anything. You simply lost the form of things while retaining the essence of things in order to conceptualize new forms of things as innovation that serves humanity. Thus, your creativity serving humanity, which equals fulfillment and purpose. Understand that. So we have to locate Jupiter internally. All right? What does this mean? Locating Jupiter internally. Don't look for what they could do for you. That's not the war. It's not what can your country do for you. All right, I heard this as a proverb. It's slipping my mind who I heard the proverb quote from. I will find it and I will notate it. And if you know, please help me out. The question is not what can your country do for you? The question is what can you do for your country? Okay. This is the expression of internalized Jupiter Cancer, okay? Because ultimately, what can I do for my country is Cancer. Cancer Jupiter is patriotism, okay? That is patriotism. It is also tribalism, the pride of tribalism. What can I do for my country? What can I do for my nation? What can I do for my demographic? What can I do for my people? What could I do for my family? What could I do for my household? What could I do for my relationship? What could I do for my children? What could I do for the fourth house? What could I do for my ancestral heritage and lineage? What could I do for the legacy from the wounds that I reverence from whence I was born? Do you see the consistencies here? Not what can they do for me, what could I do for them? So we're going internal. We're not looking for the external feedback of what somebody should do to you, to nurture you, care for you, help you, heal you, comfort you, rock you like a baby. Oh, here, hold this big titty and put it in your mouth. No, whip your big titty out and find somebody's mouth who really need it. Whip your titties out. Where your titties at? This is where we're not looking for somebody else's titties. This is where you whipping your titties out and you finding a crying baby who needs it. And what is this? Self-affirmation. That self-affirmation is, I pour water for you, not to get the feedback of you telling me that I'm kind, I'm nice, I'm thoughtful, I'm compassionate. No. It's to affirm that I am who I say I am. Internalize Jupiter. You understand? If I see that you're suffering and I motion to comfort you, it's not so that I could get the feedback. Oh, you're so thoughtful. You're so loving. That's nice. We all love to have that feedback. It blesses our soul to have that feedback. But that's not the intention of retrograde Jupiter. The intention of retrograde Jupiter is that you are finding the self-affirmation in the self concerning Cancer. That is, I must witness myself being who I say I am as the matriarchal principle in my life and reality, in my world, in the fourth house. That is your demographic, your society, your nation, your country, your community, your family, your environment. It is you being who you say you are. Are you him? Are you her? Okay? Self-affirmation. Now, how do we do it? This is where self-affirmation is expressed with incorporation of the shadows. You are using your shadows to do such works. You are using your shadows to express such truths of yourself. You're using your shadows and incorporating your shadows into that self-witnessing, which is the self-affirmation. So as you line up the troops of your suppressed energies, which are consistent with your fifth house expressions, consistent with the North Node insecurities, consistent with your Sun natal placement, roles, duties, and obligations and inclinations, consistent with your heart soul expression, numerology. Ask me questions if you are confused. You are lining up these shadows to help you to confirm and affirm that you are who you say you are. You can only be who you say you are if you include and incorporate and not deny your shadows. If they are not in unison with your voice, with your actions, it's not you, because you're denying yourself, not affirming. Self-affirmation. And this is martial. It's martial because your shadows are going to generate a natural, combative outcome that requires you to stand up for them, that requires you to advocate for them. Just imagine, right? You went deep into the hood, and you went deep into the trenches, and you got all your family, your loved ones who you was ashamed of because they some street niggas, right? And you ain't got all of them. Ray, you know what I'm saying? Scoop, Tony, you know what I mean? Rodney, yeah, Derek, Trayvon, you know what I mean? You ain't got all of them. You rolling deep. And you said, listen, we gonna go into the trenches and we gonna clean up this community. We gonna pick up bottles. You know what I mean? We gonna paint over the graffiti. We gonna hand out plates. We gonna hug babies. In fact, you know what? We gonna take up arms and we gonna police our own community. You know what I'm saying? We gonna get on some Black Panther shit, you heard? That's what we gonna do. We gonna stand up for the people and we gonna give them what they need. You remember the Black Panthers started free lunch program, you know what I'm saying? They started the WIC program and all that, okay? That's what this is. That's what this is. But this is an internal initiation of what will lead to an external manifestation, okay, of the same value. But if you're ashamed of them, it can't work. It can't work if you're ashamed of those forms of yourself, those things about yourself, that as you were a child all your life, every time you bring those energies out, somebody want to silence you, shut you up, put you in the back, turn away from you, reject you, isolate you, throw you in the well like Joseph, put you in the basement like Cinderella. All right? But guess what? Didn't Joseph win in the end? Okay then. Didn't Cinderella win in the end? All right then. Fuck is you talking about? You know what I mean? This is the turn of events for Joseph. This is the turn of events for Cinderella. in your story. All right? So where in your story were you Cinderella? Where in your story was you Joseph, who was thrown in a well? This is where you come out victorious. Understand that? So you have to internalize. You have to find the internal connection to Jupiter to express that self-affirmation. Now, Jupiter rules Pisces, which is 12th house, and 9th house, Sagittarius. And you know that the 12th house is where you start out life with undoings, spiritual crisis, that generates your expression of compassion and perfect love. Okay? Compassion and perfect love was generated from your own suffering, your own undoing, your own self-destructive behaviors, your own self-sabotage. Understand? Many shadows were born in those first 29 years of you going through that. Okay? First Saturn return, 29th year. You have many shadows that came out that 12th house because of that, especially if you have planets in the 12th house. Okay? If you have planets in the 12th house, many of your shadows are characterized by that particular planetary force or aspect. Okay? Understand this. Your shadows have characteristic traits of the energy in the 12th house. Understand? Whatever's in the 12th house, that is your spiritual power. That is your godlike power. That is the power that is the hand of God, the will of God. Understand that. You are not allowed to use the energy of the 12th house except for heaven. If you attempt to use that energy for yourself, it will fuck your ass up. Understand? Okay, let's get that right. Let's get that clear. The 12th house energy is for heaven only. You are only allowed to use it. You're only authorized to use it for heaven. No other reasons. It cannot be for your selfish reasons and purposes. It is a heavenly power that you have. Let's get that right. Let's put that on the record. 9th house. This is where the war takes place in heaven. It's a war for your beliefs. It's a war concerning your opinions. What you know to be true or not. What you have confirmed or made efforts to dig up of truth. Why you think it comes after the 8th house? It's the fruit of the 8th house. The 8th house is where we come to know truth. It's where we come to be exposed by truth. It's where we come to be judged and examined by truth. It's where our skirt gets lifted. It's where our badge gets tested. Are you real? The 8th house, you gonna find out. The results of the 8th house is forwarded to the 9th house. It was Jim Rohn, if I'm saying his name right, Jim Rohn. Somebody help me out in the comment section if I'm saying his name right. Jim Rohn, who I heard say, "You show me a man's philosophy and I will show you the explanation of the results in his life." Okay? You show me a man's philosophy and I will show you the explanation for the results that he's getting in his life. Okay, we can close it up. That's the end of the story, right? Yeah, that concludes, it tells everything right there. What do you believe in? What do you believe in? You remember Chef Raekwon, Wu-Tang, you know what I'm saying? In one of his songs, he said, "What do you believe in, heaven or hell? You can't believe in heaven because you live in hell," right? What do you believe in, heaven or hell? You can't believe in heaven because you live in hell, all right? That goes back to, again, the blare of self-affirmation is a rejection of that very thing, okay? It's a rejection of that very thing. If I am who I say I am, if I realize who I'm destined to be, who I'm called to be, what my identity is, what my calling is, what my purpose is, who the fuck I'm here to be. My environment does not dictate my identity. Circumstance does not dictate my identity, because guess what? Power was given to me, not to circumstance. Power was given to me, not to environment. I control the weather. As Jesus said, know ye not that ye are all gods. Know ye not that ye are all gods. That transfers the responsibility and accountability to self. Greater works will ye do. Huh? Your ninth house. Do your beliefs reflect conviction of who you are? Does it? Are your beliefs of the ninth house an outcome of your resilience, courage, and sincerity, your honesty to face the truth that you've seen in the mirror, reflected off of those in intimate circumstances in your life at the eighth house, where you shared power and resources and circumstances with them? Did that feedback source your connection and alignment with the truth, rather than you rejecting and deflecting it and running the fuck off and being a fugitive from the truth? The eighth house is where everybody got a mirror on their chest, and you are looking at yourself through everybody's mirror that they have on their chest, looking right back at you. And the eighth house is where you get to see everything about yourself that you probably are not flattered at, that you probably rather not know or see, but you have to accept. And the inconsistencies comes with lack of identity, lack of alignment with the truth that it's trying to get you to. The truth about yourself. You're not here for that. You didn't come here to do that. You didn't come here to be that. You didn't come here to serve that. You didn't come here to align with this or align with that. Find out who the fuck you are. Who are you? What are you supposed to be doing here? This has everything to do with us having the courage to let go of the Capricorn-Pluto context of ourself, which is the corporate fictitious character, the career ambitious illusions of ourself, the status that we were seeking with that Capricorn energy, with that shadow 8. How much money you got? What job title do you have? Your career status. How many degrees you got? How ruthless can you be and ambitious can you be so you could get clout and praise, you know what I mean, for obtaining so much consumption as a result of your ruthlessness? How Machiavellian can you get? Get into the bag. It's about the money. If it ain't about money, I ain't got nothing to do with it. You bet, these things were suggested to us as our identity. And let me remind you, the General Education Board, 1902, Rothschild Rockefeller. Okay? Come on. The General Education, listen, man. Y'all niggas need to write this shit down. Don't just fucking listen to me. Scratch your ass and go to bed. Look this shit up. Look it up. Colleges, universities, the illusion of education was made locally accessible to the common person in society as training, not education. Training for the industrial complex. Training, not education. And part of that training was training you into accepting the beliefs of yourself as being identifiable by your career status, by your corporate status. This was held true even since the 14th Amendment. We could go down a rabbit hole with that. I'm trying to give y'all the clues about that. But the 14th Amendment is where it really started at. It will shock you to know that through the 14th Amendment, nobody is who they say they are. And to get to the true and living person is our responsibility, not theirs. Because guess what? The 14th Amendment contextualization of the self is voluntary. It is consensual. Therefore, it is legal, although not lawful, for them to do it. You see the difference? Legal, but not lawful for them to do it. The Republican form of government, which is the only form of government in which you can expect your rights, entitlements, and privileges through the Constitution, does not apply to you if you should voluntarily subjugate yourself to the contextualization of the self as a corpse of the 14th Amendment. Understand? And what does this all go back to? Aries Neptune, dissolving the illusions of the idea or identity of the self. Aries, yourself, first house, your physical self. You're free now. But just because you're free don't mean you know you're free. Yeah, ask an African American about that, nigga. I know all about that. Let a nigga tell you that. You heard? I'm the best to tell you that. Who better to tell you about that illusion than a nappy-headed nigga like me? Come on. Who better to tell you about that illusion? And it applies to all of y'all, regardless of what your race or demographic is. It applies to all of y'all. But getting to the true self. Realizing what is consensual, realizing what is voluntary or not. Identity. Outside of the 14th Amendment, it automatically falls back to Cancer. Okay? The legacy of your forefathers. The house of nationality from whence you come. And in that is what? Only as a national can you claim rights of Constitution and or stand under the protection of international or national law. Only as a national, not as a fictitious incorporated character or status of the self. It does not work that way. So all the protesting and holding signs and getting stressed out and vote for this one and vote for that, nigga, they laughing at you. They laughing in your fucking face. They're laughing at how fucking dumb you are. Excuse my French. I'm not trying to be insulting because I'm talking to you and I'm talking to me too. They're laughing at how dumb we are. That after hundreds of years, we still don't see the trick that they playing. Come on. You know what I mean? I'm doing the best I can to try to show you all this, man. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, find Jupiter internally. And to find Jupiter internally, your natal Cancer placement, that's the house where you express it outward without expectation to receive it. Okay? You express it as an affirmation of your identity through the use of your shadows. Understand? And that's how we affirm while simultaneously bringing martial force into the matter, because Black Moon Lilith is that martial force when she is in Scorpio. And with your shadows behind it, there's a hell of a fight. And that fight is with the authority of truth, the sword of truth and justice. Understand? Because there's no way to deliver that without the authority of truth and justice. You have to brave that to manifest that. Because guess what? When you motion to heal the sick or love the loveless, you're going to be hated until they come to understand your intention. It may take decades later for them to understand your intention. And that's the truth. Ask any father, ask any mother who raised a child. You understand? There's no greater love than a mother's love. Fathers love too, but we all can hands down say a mother's love has no match. And when you love your child, it's going to come a time where out of love of your child, there's things that you have to say and do that they're not going to understand. And they're going to be offended because they don't understand. And it's going to take them 10 years later, 15 years later, 25 years later to look back and say, wow, my mother was actually loving me and I didn't even know it. My father was loving me and I couldn't see it. It's the same thing with healing. When you motion to heal, you have to come from the wisdom of those shadows. And from the wisdom of those shadows, it will feel like you're trying to hurt me. It'll feel like you're offending me. You disrespecting me. You're oppressing me. You're wronging me. I can't be around you. But then decades later, you see, they were healing me, but I couldn't see it. That's why the shadows have to mobilize in a martial way. Because to love and to heal from truth in Cancer, it's a war. In Scorpio, it's a war. In Pisces, it's a war in the imagination. Cancer, it's a war between the inner childs. Because when we don't understand, we feel like we're guarding our inner child from harm, from danger. But really, somebody's just trying to love you. Really, somebody's just trying to heal you. Really, you trying to love somebody and heal somebody, and they guarding their inner child, not knowing that the inner child is receptive to it. But the psychology is not receptive to it. So there's an internal conflict, and they lean into the fear that they're used to. And that becomes the quote unquote belief that they get frozen in arrested development. But you got to brave it. The art of loving and the art of healing, it requires you to be very resilient as people reject you, as people accuse you of being an enemy, as people say you're a hater, you're dangerous, you just want to hurt me. Oh, you're so mean, you're this, you're that. People will call you everything in the book except loving and except the healer until they grow. But you have to endure being called all these things, being perceived this way. Understand that. So put the pieces together. You know what I mean? Ask questions if you need to. Show your support. Like, share, subscribe, and all that. On my videos, y'all might see that I comment, 3 times or so on my own videos. Y'all don't have to get bugged out about that. I'm just making sure that I show myself support by triggering the algorithm. I'm making sure that I'm loving on myself and I'm showing up for myself the way I want to be. You understand? And, that's all that is. So, let's understand the assignment. Let's understand the assignment. In opposition to this conjunction, Black Moon Lilith and the Sun, on what is that, Tuesday, I guess. I think it was Tuesday. Uranus is on the other side of that. Okay, so Uranus is making sure that you have a revolutionary spirit in reference to your own internalized values, your innate values, and a revolutionary spirit in that which you value, which you have learned to value, that which keeps you stable, that which keeps you sincere, that which keeps you grounded, that which keeps you true and not betraying it. Understand? And you're going to need that grounding. Because as I told you, our will is truth, justice, light, love. And every one of these things, light offends people who found comfort in the dark. Truth offends people who cannot brave the alignment with it. Healing offends people who are triggered by the pain of their own illness. This is what I'm trying to show you. Love offends those who have been loveless. Understand? This is what I'm trying to show you. And you have to bring your shadows to accomplish this because they have martial power. They know how to go to war because the shadows been fighting all their life in the underworld. Understand?